we've discussed some properties of limits, so let's apply them to some actual limit problems. The first case, we have the limit as x approaches 1/2 of 15x. So if I look at my list, what I know is that I know what, as x goes to 1/2, I would know what the limit of x is, but what's the limit of 15x? Well, that tells me, from this one over here, it tells me that if I have a constant, that 15, I just have to find the limit of the x part, and then I can multiply it by 15. So that tells me that this is 15 times 1/2, or 15 halves. Now over here, I have the limit as x approaches -2 of x cubed. So if I'm looking here of x cubed, well, that looks like x to a power. So what I'll do is I'll plug in the limit for f here, and then I'll cube it. So that's going to be -2 cubed, which is -8. The next one's a little trickier. I have the limit as x approaches 4 of x plus 5 over 2x minus 5. So technically speaking, and this is a lot of work, but technically speaking, this really involves this and this and this, because you have to find the limit of the top, and that's technically two things added together, so you have to apply this. You have the limit of the bottom. Since you have a 2x, it's this. Since it's 2x minus 5, it applies that. And then once you have the quotient here, you can apply this quotient limit. Now in practice, we don't do that. In practice, that's it's burdensome. That's the word I'm looking for. So instead, what we're going to do is we're simply going to try to plug in and see what happens. And so what we get is 3. 4 plus 5 on top is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. Minus 5 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Simple enough. Over here we have x times cosine x. So that tells me we really need to apply this property here. So I need to find the limit of this piece, which is pi, and this piece, which is cosine pi. And if you recall, cosine pi is -1. So we end up with -pi. And finally, I have sine pi x minus 1 over x. And the limit is x approaches -3. So I have sine of pi x. So this is actually using a property we haven't quite got to yet. But it's really going to be using this property and technically that one. But again, we can try plugging in and we'll see what happens. So we'll say sine of pi times -3 minus 1 over -3. Well, that's sine of -3 pi plus 1/3. Well, sine of -3 pi is actually 0. So my answer is 1/3. So what you find in a lot of cases, we have all these really nice properties, but a lot of times what it really boils down to in practice is plugging in the values and seeing if that works. Now we're going to learn techniques about what to do if that doesn't work as we move on, but in general you should always just first try to plug in and then go from there.